Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Sport Federation TV. Sport is in action. Of course, sport's very active. People are getting busy, a lot of events, and well, certainly a lot of competitions and tournaments, and of course, recently the Western Cape Sports Awards as well. We will be talking equestrian today. We'll be catching up with kickboxing, and we'll be taking a look at what's happening in the world of Western Cape tennis. And to tell me more about Western Cape tennis, back in studio with us, Roxanne Clarke. Roxanne, welcome back.
Thanks, JP. Always good to be here with you.
It's always such a pleasure to get you here because we always spend a bit of time doing a little bit of catch-up about what's happening in the world of tennis. So have you been busy?
Well, you could say the winter season is sort of over now, so tennis kicks into high gear. There's a lot of events coming up towards the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. So yeah, I think you could say that. I mean, it's almost like the winter swing kind of ends and it slows down a bit, and now you kick into this spring, summer.
So I was going to ask you that, does winter have an impact on, obviously, do people play less tennis?
I don't think people play less. Well, they probably do, but in terms of competitive tennis, it goes on year-round.
Yeah.
So they'll just try and sort of put the important tournaments away from where all the rain is. So it still happens.
So how does that work then from a competitions point of view? Is it clubs, leagues? I mean, I know you've explained this to me, some of this before, but do you have different leagues that maybe, or do the leagues run throughout the year?
The leagues are reserved for the summertime and springtime, I would say. So you'll find them at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, sort of close to the end of the year. The Cape Town tennis leagues are happening now. There's a little bit of break because of the school holidays, but they will resume, I think, with 3 more weeks to go, 3 more weekends,
So your portfolio at Western Cape Tennis is a lot around development. Tell me a little bit more about that in terms of sort of like how do you approach that from a day-to-day basis?
Well, actually, my portfolio is more in the coaching space.
Okay.
So I can't really speak to what's happening in development right now. Because I'm in the area and I'm in Cape Town and I'm really connected in that sense, I can tell you that Cape Town tennis has kicked off an initiative to try and get wheelchair tennis going here.
Right.
So that's sort of happening. That's something new that's going on, which I think is quite exciting because we have really, really good wheelchair tennis players in South Africa.
Yeah.
None of them come from Cape Town. The best players are sort of based in Gauteng. And I mean, they're the top 10 in the world. So it's good to get something going here in the Western Cape as well.
So with your expertise on the coaching side, does that mean that you spend time coaching coaches or coaching yourself?
I do coach coaches. I'm a part of the Tennis South Africa tutors.
Yeah.
So I do all the coaching courses that are here. I last year, with some of our best coaches, did sort of the first leg of what they call an ITF Coach of High Performance Players course. And I love doing the entry-level course, which we've spoken about quite a bit, the play tennis course. But also, my role is to engage with the districts and whoever are the head of the districts. And we also have BNP is a major sponsor of a mentorship program. So we get some coaches to, in alignment, we work with TSA on this. They get some coaches who, they up their qualifications, they help them with all kinds of things in that regard. So that's a really exciting project that Tennis South Africa sort of handles.
So if you're a coach out there that's coaching at a club at the moment, do you need to keep your coaching skill levels up? Do you need to do refresher courses and so on?
You do. There's part of the CPD points that you have to do, but that, of course, the first step is, of course, being registered as a coach.
Right.
So that is something that's important because with that comes, police checks and
safeguarding,
all of the most important things. So it is important for coaches to be registered in that sense. So that's the first thing, and then. Coaches are always encouraged to improve,
But how often does it change? How often, I mean, from a high performance point of view, tennis has evolved over the years. How often would you say, I mean, if you're coaching day to day, are the basics the same, or do the techniques change and you've got to kind of keep up with the latest skills?
You could say that the basics are the same, but of course, as you say, it's always evolving. So it's always important to keep your finger on the pulse in that regard of what are the trends, what are the things that are happening. We see now that, for example, if you kept everything the same, we'd have the same people who are the best players in the world, for example. You see the trend shifting now to where younger players are coming through.
Yes.
And being the #1 player in the world is a 19-year-old. So that speaks a lot to coaching, I think.
Yeah. Is that a trend that's happening? We're seeing, I mean, like you said, the world number one now.
Carlos Alcaraz Garcia.
Yes, there we go. Who's really made a name for
men's,
himself in a very short period of time. But it does look like the athletes are getting stronger at a younger age.
Yeah, they are. I mean, if you look a few years ago, you would see that the trend was for the players to be older.
Yeah.
You know, and before that, you could see that there were players who were younger. You know, you had Boris Becker at 17 winning Wimbledon. You had Martina Hingis at 14. I don't know if she won a major at 14, but and then the trend went again to older. So it's all coaching that, well, I would say a huge contributing factor, coaching, nutrition, conditioning, all of those things. And now we see that trend happening again where the younger players are coming through.
So talking about younger players that are coming through the ranks, Lee van Zyl, School Sports Woman of the Year for Western Cape Tennis, announced last weekend at the Western Cape Sports Awards. I mean, you guys must be very proud.
I mean, first I'd say congratulations, Lee. You know, Lee has been, I've been sort of walking this path with Lee, who gets coaching from Pascal they were up in Stellenbosch, and we met last year. She was a part of our Whippled squad, and since then I've been on tours with Lee, and I think she got a high ranking this year of about 150.
Was she on part of the Billie Jean King?
She was
part of your
she
squad?
was a part of that squad as well, and before that she was a part of the South African team, and she was a finalist in the African Junior Championship.
Wow.
So she's had a great year. I know she's in matric this year, so that's also hard. But Lee is a fantastic person and well deserving of that award.
Well, she now has a chance to go head-to-head at the National Sport Awards with her nomination, so I'm sure she's going to be up against some big names, but she's in the mix now.
Yeah, all the best to her. I hope she comes out on top there.
Another accolade was for Valerie Goliath, who does so much tennis administration in the Central Karoo area.
Yeah, she's a part of the Western Cape Tennis Federation. It's really nice to see that there's recognition given to the administrators and you know, these servants of Auntie Valerie, to the servants of the game. So you know, really happy for her as well.
So Rox, tell me a little bit now about what's your schedule look like now to the end of the year?
You know, there's a lot of junior tournaments happening. There's one coming up because it's school holidays. There's one coming up in Cape Town at I think it's next week. It's their Grand Prix, and after that they have a spring tournament as well. And then in the most important ones in December, which are called the Growth Point Super 8s. So there's one in Cape Town. I know there'll be one in Cape Winelands as well. So the juniors sort of kick off their year in December. I know they also just had their Masters, the Junior Masters here in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening.
Is it a good time of the year for people to start playing tennis? I mean, everyone's watching the show now. They see you. It's one of the things that we do is we're promoting tennis, role models like yourself, Western Cape Tennis, showing that it's active, and showing that there's a growth path, as you said. I mean, you've got champions coming through the ranks here. Is it a good time for people to start playing tennis, joining a club?
It's always a good time for people to start playing tennis. You know, it's just one of those sports that, in my opinion, as I say, it teaches about life. But it also teaches those basic skills. If you're a 5-year-old that just starts to play, you get the ball skills, you get moving, you get the agility. So I would say find out from a club, join a club, because it's summertime, it's nice to be out there. You know, we have some clubs that are really, really good locations. So it's a fun time for the whole family.
And so just for moms or dads that are watching now and that are maybe thinking about, well, I want to sign up my child, what can they expect? Is it sort of 3 o'clock in the afternoon, dropping the kids off, or is it more in the evening, 7 to 8, play on the weekends? What's the sort of the pattern for kids that are starting up?
It really depends. It really depends on what they're looking for. I'm sure they can find. Most of the time, I'd find that the younger players will get the earlier slots in the afternoon.
Okay.
You know, they have these programs, and probably on the weekend and on Saturday morning, you'll find a lot of young players who start playing in that sense. So if any parents are interested in tennis, they can either go through their schools, which is a great way for them to start here. Schools are a very big avenue for tennis and for starting tennis here in South Africa, or they can contact the clubs in the area that they live in and find out what's happening there with coaching.
Nice time for parents just to have a bit of a break as well in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of parents stick around and see what's going on, but yeah, that is a chance for you to have a break for sure.
All right. Well, because I think my next question was going to be, do the parents get very excited on the side of the court?
The parents end up taking lessons themselves.
Oh, right. Okay. Roxanne Clarke, thanks for joining us here on Federation TV. It's always great to get you in the studio. I know you're always just a phone call away, and I think that the effort that you make to keep talking about tennis is fantastic.
Thanks so much, JP. You know, I always love coming and chatting to you about tennis and educating you a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure.
I love getting these tennis lessons. Right, folks, Roxanne Clarke, she's of course captain of the Billie Jean King Cup, involved with coaching at Western Cape, the Western Cape Tennis Federation, and well, you heard it yourself. Find a local tennis club and get signed up. They've got all the expertise that you need, from the coaches and all the mentorship programs, and of course fantastic development happening in Western Cape Tennis. And congratulations again to Lee Van Sale and Valerie Goliath for walking away with those provincial accolades. Folks, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll carry on talking sport in the province. Back in a sec. Don't go away.